So now that we've gotten the current Siege stuff out of the way, because Wave 2 has not hit my neck of the woods just yet, and now that we've gotten the current Studio Series stuff out of the way, kind of. I'm waiting on a couple of things from a friend of the channel, so we'll get to that eventually. I thought it was high time we get back to finishing a series that we started kind of back in November. That being the Beast Wars. And I've already looked at all of the Maximal team that I have thus far. I've done over the years a couple of the Predacons, but I figured why not start to round that side out with this guy. That's right, he's a custom job and he's going to be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Stick around the channel, have some fun with us here. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and me everywhere. And this is a custom Predacon. I think that most people would probably know who this is. Certainly fans of Beast Wars will know who this is. It's none other than their answer to Starscream, Terrorsaur. And this is a custom job, like I said, because it is the North American release, and he doesn't stock look like this. There's a lot more blue and some green even. This is closer to his Japanese release, but still there are differences here from that one as well, and I'll kind of talk about what I did with this guy when we get into him. He's kind of a great little figure and a fun little mold, but don't take my word for it. Let's head over to the table. Take a closer look at this guy. And of course we're back on track with the squawking, screaming, double-dealing Starscream-wannabe of the Predacons, that of course being Terrorsaur here. And I like him. I like him. Obviously this one is very much a custom version of him. The Japanese release of this guy was close to the animation in terms of his coloration. He had a lot of kind of, I'm going to say dark gray, maybe gunmetal gray on his legs and abdomen. He did have a nice, deep, rich red that was all pretty much one color throughout. He did have an eye with a pupil and a yellow beak. And he even had like a few, I think like maybe silver highlights, if I'm not mistaken, and a red robot mode head. This is a custom job done on the North American release, and the North American release looked really kind of nothing like the animation. Let's deal with the bird mode, and we'll kind of talk about the robot mode when we get to it more. So in the bird mode, what I have done here is largely reminiscent of the Japanese release, but with a couple of extra bonuses. Notably, the yellow kind of claws on the hands and like down on the, I guess, toes. And I think that might be about it. Now the Japanese release had like a solid red color. The North American release was made out of red plastic and had very little highlights. The eyes were, I believe, yellow. And there was this green speckling on the arms and going right down the body that I did not like. The Japanese release did not have that. It was just red. So I had to deal with the speckling. Now, a solid red isn't exactly animation accurate either. The speckling kind of is. Maybe not to this degree, but the speckling look is kind of what we had in the animation. So, I wanted to get rid of the green that was on it. I didn't really want to remove it per se. It might, I suppose I could, but I opted instead to kind of paint over it. So I used a, like a fire engine red, and I painted it on, and then I dabbed the excess off with a paper towel. I let that dry, and I done a couple of coats of that just to give a decent coverage. I, of course, painted the yellow on the claws and the beak. I painted the white on the eye and the pupil. Down underneath, I painted the yellow on the tips of his claws for his feet. And, of course, where you see silver down there, that's also custom paintwork. But this looks more like the Pteranodon, pterodactyl. I'm not sure. One of them has teeth and the other doesn't. One was bigger, one was smaller. I'm not sure exactly which one this guy turned into. One of those flying dinosaur things. Bird Dino. There you go. Bird Dino. This looks a lot more accurate to the Bird Dino that we got on the Beast Wars program, and I'm very happy with it. It is, of course, small because this is a basics size figure, and we'll see exactly what that means and how big that is a little bit later on. So far, though, I would say he's doing pretty well. This looks pretty accurate. Of course, there are people that have done other things in terms of a customization, and you know, like a lot of it comes down to how you interpret the animation. This is how I interpret the animation. If I was to guess at this point, I would say that the Japanese release is a good 8 for animation accuracy. It's pretty great. Not perfect, but pretty great. The North American release was probably a 4, like it really doesn't look like Terrorsaur at all. What I have done here, and what a lot of other customizers have done, can get the guy looking somewhere around a 9.5, 9.75. This is, I think, very close. I'm going to call it 9.75, but of course, to be fair, there is definitely a measure of subjectivity in there because this is my personal customization. But nevertheless, I'm going to say 9.75. Now, while I do want to move into the conversion next, as easy as it is, let's take a moment and we'll do the articulation in bird mode, which is pretty extensive, all things considered. I'll also note that we do have one accessory that is currently stored in such a manner that you cannot see it. I think that that's splendid. You do not get that anymore. Storage in alt mode without seeing the blaster or whatever it is, you don't get that anymore, man. So the articulation in bird mode, well, the legs down here are the robot mode arms. So you have, you know, shoulders that can go like out to the side and down. They can bend back that way. We do have a full knee because it's the elbow in robot mode. Even the feet here, they can like kind of start to twist forward or bend forward. The head, it can bend down and up, and the mouth, it can open and close very wide. It's impressive. Honestly, for the size that we're talking about, for the time, for, you know, what we would need him to do, I think it's impressive. Okay, so now how exactly do we handle this conversion? Like I said, it's simple, but it's kind of interesting all the same. I guess we begin really by coming under his chin, and you'll notice like kind of tabbed in right there are his legs. Now, they untab super duper easy. They'll probably do it by themselves, and you can kind of bring those down for now. As well, you can sort of bring this arm back. Now, the whole like dino head is on this black armature, and when we begin to bring back this black armature, you'll see it going right down through the body, and you'll see the body begin to kind of automorph down. So you sort of, if I can do it, untab the head, and you can see as I'm untabbing the head that the tail of the dinosaur begins to go down, and the body begins to like move down. Just like that. Now, I do have the head of the robot mode kind of caught here a little bit. Push that up, and there. So all you're doing really is you're bringing unhooking the dinosaur head, and then like a spring mechanism is bringing it back. You can see if I let go of it there, that it just springs back into position. That's the majority of this guy done. I will note that in here, and you just saw me take out something there, that's his accessory. We'll look at that momentarily, but it stores in a slot here behind his robot mode head. I think that is ingenious. Okay, so once you have kind of unhooked the dino head and it sort of springs back into place, this is what you're left with. So what do you actually have left to do that you need to complete yourself for the conversion? Pretty simple. Straighten up his feet so, you know, he can stand up. And take the bird feet and they go up on really the back of his forearms and straighten out his arms. And now you have him in his robot mode. Let's look at his accessory. And this is the accessory that he comes with. It's just a little molded thing in red. It has a 3mm peg. That's what I'm holding on to. So like Prime Masters, Titan Masters could hold this. And of course, Terrorsaur himself can hold it. It does unfold because the folded up version is the way that it is when you are storing it behind his robot mode head. And this is what you get, and it fits in his hand just great. And as you can see, he holds it just fine, no problem. Now, for the paint apps in this mode. Like, right down on his boots, we have some little spikes. I painted them silver, but neither the Japanese nor North American release have those painted. On his shins, in North America, they're blue. For some weird reason. In Japan, they were like a gunmetal gray, maybe a silver. But they're not actually supposed to be. They should be red with just a silver detailing. When you come up the body on the thighs and the abdomen, in Japan, the thighs, the abdomen, and the upper arms are gunmetal gray. In North America, they were solid black. I painted all of that silver. I've already talked about the red being a solid red and having to cover up the green detailing here for the North American release. So if I was to rank them, and I may have mentioned this before, but if I was to rank them, it would be the North American release is the least accurate, the Japanese release is certainly fairly accurate, and then a custom job that you could do yourself would probably be the most accurate. Like I said, I'm going to score the alt mode at a 9.75. The conversion is easy. It's simple. It's fun to flick this guy back and forth between his robot and his alt mode and vice versa. I'm going to say the transformation's a 10. Now if you like really complex, takes me 25 minutes to a half hour to do the transformation, then you're not going to like this early Beast Force figure. But for having an automorph feature that actually works, and works well even 23 years later, for having plastic that feels solid, for joints that feel solid, for having a couple of little other movements that you do with putting the arms down and flipping back the dinosaur feet onto his forearms, for even just having to kind of bring his legs down and flip his feet up. Like, it's enough moving parts on such a small figure here to make it interesting. I'm giving that a 10. This guy's scoring tremendously well at this point. What about the articulation? Well, the articulation, I guess we'll begin with taking this out of his hand. We will fold it up again and we will stick it once again behind his head. It doesn't hold in there necessarily the most securely, but it's all right. How do I want to handle this? Okay, the head is on a ball joint. It can look up and down a little bit. It can go left and right. The arms can go well out to the side. The shoulders are on ball joints. They can go all the way around. Yes, they would be hindered by this wing piece that really should be on his shoulder, but it is what it is. You can work around it. We have 90-degree elbow, maybe even over 90 degrees actually. We have a wrist swivel. You can even bend or bicep swivel, sorry, because of the ball joint at the elbow. You can even bend the wrist forward a little bit if you want. Not sure why you'd want to. No waist, that's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. We have, the ability to do the splits all the way out to the side. He can kick, pretty high kick out front. He can kick back pretty far considering the wings are in the way. We have 90 degrees at the knee. If it's not 90 degrees, it's close enough that we'll give it to him. And we have a little bit of a thigh swivel even around the ball joint up on the hip. And the feet can angle forward and up just a bit. Honestly, I love the articulation on this guy. Indeed, he is a little bit back heavy, and perhaps having him be more of a deluxe size would have benefited him just a little bit better. Nevertheless, I kind of dig this basic size. It's fine. The articulation is astonishing for the time. It rivals anything today, now in 2019. It really does. And considering that this is what followed up the bricks that made up G1, I think it's amazing what was accomplished here by designers. We have really a full range of articulation. There's not much more you could hope for the class size. Why do I say that? Because a basic class really is just a legend size class. And for comparison here, we have Titans Return Bumblebee and Brawn. I looked at them, I believe, respectively in episodes 257 maybe? 258? I want to say 257 and 270. And of course the custom paintwork that I did on them. But you can see that, honestly, they're pretty much the exact same size as Terrorsaur here. And I feel like that Terrorsaur has a little bit more articulation than they do. If he doesn't have more articulation, he definitely has just as much. And we're talking 23 or so years in the past as of this recording. For a figure to be able to stand up over time that well against kind of more modern day releases says a lot. Honestly, he was getting about a 9.75. The articulation, like a waist would be nice, but I can forgive it. The articulation is at least a 9. Terrorsaur is at least a 9.5. It's a great mold. Whether you have it for this, or whether you have the reuse that was done for Beast Wars Laserbeak, I believe, or even if you have the one that was used in I want to say 2014 as straight from the Age of Extinction movie. Like, the mold's been used a few times, and you know why? Because even all these years later, it's a pretty fantastic mold. And here we have my amalgamation mishmash of Beast Wars Predacons. Kind of Beast Wars Predacons. You'll notice Tankor is also there. I include him because, like, you know, Tankor needs to follow someone, and technically Beast Machines is like a last season to Beast Wars. Technically, Tankor, you know, before he found out he was Rhinox and asserted his own, you know, intelligence. Like, when he was just a brute and a follower, you know, Tankor pulverized. Like, when he was that Tankor, he followed someone, and technically it was Beast Wars Megatron that he was following. In fact, I looked at good old Tankor in episode 194. I looked at Black Arachnia in episode 29 a long time ago. Now, again, to be fair, she's the animated Black Arachnia, but apparently she has been, like, retconned to be the Beast Wars Black Arachnia. I don't know, whatever. She's good enough for me for that character. I don't really need another one. Although some people would say, hey, that mold was used for Legends Black Arachnia. Yeah, she might be cool to have, but I don't know, I'm fine with this. You see Waspinator over there, good old Waspinator, coming in a bit taller than Terrorsaur, and I don't feel like that's the way that should be. I feel like they should at least be about the same size, and maybe that's even wrong. So yes, Terrorsaur is smaller here, probably should have been a deluxe. I looked at Waspinator in episode 195. Bringing up the rare here, I have my custom Rampage, who I looked at in episode 375. I picked that guy up for like $3. I mean, I had to do a bit of work with him, but for $3 it was hard for me to go wrong. And, of course, we have Beast Wars Megatron. Yes! And, of course, I looked at Beast Wars Megatron and the custom work I did on him in episode 288. Here's the thing. It's a solid figure, even if probably, arguably, too small. Then again, you know, Tankor is often complained as being too small. I think it's a great figure, but it's too small. Terrorsaur is kind of in the same boat. Like, he probably should have been a deluxe. And granted, there was a BotCon or a convention exclusive or something that was the, I believe, Combiner Wars Air Raid mold. Like, alright, I get what you're going for. This time he turns into a plane, and the plane is sort of painted up to be like his dinosaur mode. I get it, but at least he was a deluxe class figure. Now that one goes for a crazy amount of money in the aftermarket. This one often goes for a crazy amount of money. I got him for an alright price, but here's the thing. I think that you almost need to resolve yourself that you're going to have to do some custom paint apps if you want this guy to look as good as he possibly can. Some might even say, hey, I would rather have the Transmetals version. I guess you could get that. I mean, the Transmetals version never appeared in the program. Though, I do think that when, you know, he and Scorponok fell into the lava, I believe like his hand started to glow or something. Maybe he was being transmetalized. I don't know. And I guess at this point we will never really know. Nevertheless, this is my Predacon ranks right now, and I'm happy to add him to it. It's a fun, solid little figure. Nothing more, nothing less. And here we are once again, and I'm happy to add this dude to my Predacon ranks. Here's the thing, in the modern age, if he was coming out now, I would say he's a fun little Legends class figure, and that's exactly what he is, a fun little Legends class figure. I know the size class was called Basics, but just to put it in kind of more modern perspective, so to speak, the paint did definitely need a lot of work to be more reminiscent of the character. Would a deluxe class size be nice? Yeah, definitely, sure. Do I want to pay an arm and a leg for that exclusive that is really a Combiner Wars plane? No, I want him to be a dinosaur because he's a dinosaur. So I would actually prefer this one, at least for now, until and if we ever get an update. I don't really... I'm not a huge fan of the Transmetals one because I don't really see that as Terrorsaur, because this is more akin to the character that I remember on my screen from the Beast Wars animated cartoon series. And I think that he's worth not only having, but worth doing some custom work on so that he looks as accurate as he possibly can. Yes, these wings should really be kind of on his upper arms, but I'll live with it. It's all right. He's fun. If you get a chance to add this mold to your collection, yeah, it's probably worth it. It's been used a couple of times as recently as I believe 2014 when it was used for Strafe from the Age of Extinction film, I believe. It's also been used for Beast Wars Laserbeak. It's a fun little mold. It's easy to convert back and forth, but it feels good and it's sort of, you know, rewarding to be able to pose him. Is he a little back heavy? Sure. Is he perfect? No, but he's still really strong, and I'm so happy to add this guy to my Predacon ranks. Let me know what you think about him, or if you've ever experienced this mold at all. You know, I'd love to hear from you guys. Again, I'm going to say, please, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so very, very much. Stick around the channel. Have some fun with us. Yeah, what else is there to say other than I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.